Okay, so I'm going to be telling you about Daydreams of Electric Sheep. There is a reason that it's called that, and that is that I'm supposed to be going out on tour in October again, only I'm not, because the conference that was going to fly me over to America to start the tour crashed and burned in a way that I've never seen before. So I've not got any money to go, so now I get to give it to you guys. So this was going to be an hour, it's now going to be 6 minutes and 40 seconds, so let's go. What is AI? So obviously Daydreams of Electric Sheep, we're talking about from the Philip K. Dick novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And the answer is that they do. This guy has dreams. But what I want to talk about is the future of AI and where we're going to be in 15 years, which hopefully the slide's going to change in a second. AI, when it comes down to it, for the purposes of this talk, is any time a computer makes a decision. And in 15 years, we're going to go from the crazy Terminator to the even scarier Terminator. And that's where we're going to be spending our time for the next 5 minutes or so. So computers making decisions and games making decisions, and what that's going to look like 15 years from now. So I've spoken at length about this whole concept of the Dungeon Master and the AI Dungeon Master, and I've bored everybody to tears with this one. So it's got one slide and then I'm going to move on, but the concept here is that so much of the games that we play on the tabletop can actually be automated. And you know, the role of the Dungeon Master can be taken on by AI systems. But you don't want to hear about that because I've talked about that so many times. Engaging companions is a lot more interesting, and that's what I've been researching lately. Companions are these characters that are going to stay with you for 40, maybe 80 hours in some games. And what we really need is for those to be intelligent, and we need for them to be a lot more engaging and immersive. So stuff like no teleporting around the map, and I don't want to pick on games, but I'm gonna. The Old Republic. You will see companions not being able to work out how an elevator works and magically appear next to you. That's immersion breaking. That's not good AI. That's shit pathfinding. And we can't be doing stuff like that 15 years from now, because if we are, we should all kill ourselves. Standing in doorways. Who's played Skyrim? Who's got stuck on a door trying to shove your way past an NPC? Yeah, exactly. Lots of hands up. Why? What the fuck is that about? I mean, that is just really bad AI. We can't be doing things like that. It's immersion breaking. Understanding your intentions. When you go and try and do something, you need your companion character to understand what you're trying to achieve and know how to help you do that. And we're getting there. This has been the last 5 years of my life, this one slide. But we are getting there now. But in 15 years from now, we need to have these guys look at you and go, oh yeah, he's trying to open that door over there. And what I can do to help is do this. And what we're working towards is these living worlds. Worlds that are going to just allow things to happen. And what we need to get over is this distinction between an experience and the experience. And this is a thing that one of the AI guys came up with 6 months ago. The experience. These are games where a designer sits down and says, this is what's going to happen and this is how it's going to happen, and what we're going to do is we're going to have the player play through these, and the game becomes a pass-fail set of challenges. And if you fail, game over, and if you pass, they tell you a little bit more of the story. Because in these kinds of games, the story is fucking to die for. And then you have an experience. And these are the games where you have such broad choice that you can kind of do, you feel like you can do whatever you want. You can make the choices that you want, but you're still kind of constrained. Like in Mass Effect, you still have to save the galaxy. And it's a choice of how you do that, and that is an experience. You're picking one experience among many. But the question is, what does it look like when you're doing any experience? Games like Minecraft, games like Eve, where you can pretty much do whatever you want. And coming back to the AI as Dungeon Master thing, I was giving that talk, I forget where, and somebody said, oh, that's brilliant, because we need this kind of narrative. Because one time, me and my party just decided to sit in the pub. And there were village burnt down around us, and we carried on drinking. And that's the kind of thing that we need. We need worlds that will persist without the player's intervention. We need things to just carry on. And it doesn't matter what you do. Your choices are affecting the world, but the world is continuing. Versu is a really great example of this. It's a new game out on iOS by Linden Labs, and it started out as a proof of concept by an outfit called Little Text People. Emily Short is a really big name in the interactive fiction world, and Richard Evans is a big name in the AI world. And these guys got together and they created this episodic thing that is interactive fiction, but, oh shit, the slides moved on. Interactive fiction where the world is going to carry on without you. And Everquest Next is another great example of this, where there are stories to be told, but you can deform the world, and you can change the world, and you can make these choices, and it becomes a living, embodied world that you're acting in. Procedural content is going to be one of the big keys to this, and procedural content, although it's something that kind of gets glossed over as not really an AI technique, all of these things are AI techniques. And this is the kind of thing that happens all the time. When it's experimental, it's AI. When it's not experimental anymore, it's computer science and it's programming. And everybody co-ops our shit and then we just carry on. But procedural doesn't mean randomized, and this is something that I see a lot of people making a mistake about. Tiny Wings is a really good example of this. Tiny Wings was an iOS game years and years ago, and it was these hills. I know it was years ago because I've been using this example for that long. These hills that you were kind of sliding around as a wee bird. But Island 1 had certain characteristics, and Island 4 had different characteristics. And although the actual specifics would change day to day, the tone of each island didn't change. And what they were doing was they were capturing the intention of the designer, and they were capturing it algorithmically, so that you knew that always you would have this kind of design, but designed by an algorithm. And that's generating flexible, replayable content, and that's where we need to be headed. You know, we can't predict everything that's going to happen in our worlds when we head towards these living worlds. But that's what we need to be doing. And that means algorithms, that means capturing this stuff procedurally. Hopefully this slide will change in a minute, because, right, here we go. So AI is how we bring our worlds to life. AI is the core of how we're going to bring our worlds to life. And it can give us so much more than all this push for photorealistic graphics. Fuck John Carmack, fuck his game day, his graphics engines. We need AI, we need better AI, we need AI to be the next big thing, because there is so much to do there. And if you like anything that I've had to say, my time is now up, so thank you very much.
Any questions? Just a couple of quick ones, because we'll need to shift the night on.
Players have relatively limited degrees of freedom to tell the game what they're trying to do. How can an AI agent guess intention?
Okay, so guessing intention is actually interesting, because what we're trying to do is recognize what the player's sort of aims are based on what they've done so far. So at the moment, my stuff is pretty simple. So if you go and try and press a button, chances are you're trying to go through the door that that button's attached to. And that then triggers, oh, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z as well. I can help you with that. So intention, it is a hard problem, and actually this kind of goal derivation based on what your previous actions is an open question in AI academia, but they're trying to sort of coming at it from a huge amounts of horsepower point of view. It's a hard problem, and it's not one that I've got a great answer to. But 15 years from now, 15 years from now, that's what we want to solve.
Ask you again in 15 years.
Yes, if you can find it.
Any other questions? Cool, we'll shift on next victim.